Listen, laugh, and learn with Sacha and Ish as they share their experiences, thoughts, and tips to build skills that are not so average and a career that's not so ordinary. This is the Not So Breakfast Show.
All right, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today we're going to get down and dirty with 14 quick tips to supercharge your productivity. And when I say down and dirty, not really down or not really dirty, just let's get to the good stuff and give you some tips to get you to be able to do more of hopefully the things that you want to do. And Sash, I feel like I need to express some concern with the fact that there's like a fluoro vest behind you. Are you like planning some sort of emergency evacuation procedure that I don't know about yet? Are we going to like practice getting out of the house in a hurry and you've got your vest ready?
I'm ready to go. I've also got a hard hat just out of the corner of my eye and some steel-capped boots.
No one works harder on this podcast but you, and you've got the health and safety protocols to prove it.
100% I am. If this plane is going down, it's going down with me screaming in a bright yellow-orange vest.
I love it. That's good. Oh, well, as long as I know it's just for props at the moment and we haven't actually got an emergency coming up in the middle of this productivity episode. But that's probably why we're talking about productivity, because how do we minimize our likelihood of getting into emergencies where we feel like we need to cram everything into the last few minutes of the day? And the reason I wanted to do this topic is it was actually a quote from Brendan Burchard that sparked my interest getting back into productivity. And obviously I'm always interested in productivity, but it sparked my interest. And he said, people say they need to prioritize things better and they need to get more organized. But the simple fact is you are already living your priorities right now. You are prioritized. It's just that what you have prioritized is not the things that you think you need to be working on. So you have chosen to design a life, a productivity plan, a time management schedule. It's just not what you want right now, but let's not lie to ourselves and think that you're not living your priorities, because right now everybody is, if that makes sense.
I love that so much. I know why you have a man crush on him. Because that's good stuff, right? And it's the same with people who want to come and do a communication course. They say, I want to work on communicating using body language. I'm like, no, you're already communicating using body language. Your body language is already telling me how you feel about everything. You're just not taking charge of it. So the reason that I love productivity tips is not because I give one single shit about productivity, because it's often couched in how can we get more done for our employers? How can we get more done every day? And I'm more inclined to say, how can we get the important things done so that we can lead a really happy and fulfilling life? Yeah. And it may actually mean that the more productive you are, the less time volume you have to work. Yep. Not, I want to make sure I get way more done in 8 hours. I'm interested in how can you do 8 hours work in 4 hours so that you have an extra 4 hours to play. I like those ideas.
Oh, yes. That's it. Because I think so many people think, if I get better at managing my time, but actually time is finite, right? We're all running out of time. We've got less time now than we had when we started this podcast. So we should acknowledge the fact that we are running out of time. So what do we want to do with our time? And also note how many requests we get from people that requires our time. Like how many times are people asking us to do something, look at something, read something, an opinion on something that is actually just eating into the time that we've got left, which, just to note, is even less time left now than when we started this conversation. So time is running out. So we do need to get better at thinking about how we prioritize our time and how much is being stolen from us, right from under our very nose.
And time is a construct. Right? It's a construct that someone made up as a way of breaking our lives into blocks. So I'm also, as you know, really happy to throw the whole rule book around time out. So one of my favorite podcasts is Dr. Andrew Huberman, and his episodes are like 2.5 hours sometimes. And I'm like, oh, he has a different approach to time than we have. But my favorite quote about time is from The Time Traveler's Wife, one of my all-time favorite books. It's the most beautiful love story ever. And the guy writes a letter to his wife, and it concludes by saying, "I love you always. Time is nothing."
Oh, nice.
I love that so much. And now let's talk about being productive-ish. 14 tips. Let's go, because we've already wasted time on this intro.
Let's get it. All right. First of all, manage your energy, not just your time.
I love this.
So you need to think about, and we've talked about this before, but you need to think about when are you best at doing things? How much energy can you actually give to something? Because otherwise what will happen is you'll cram more and more into your day. And as a result, things are taking way longer than they needed to because you did them at the wrong time of the day, or you spent too long doing it, or you had so much to do that now you're smashed. So you're going into the next day more drained than you were when you started the day before.
And the real simple 3 things to manage your energy most effectively is take care of your sleep, take care of what you eat, and take care of what kind of movement you do. Eat, move, sleep are the 3 things that set you up for energy optimization. So get that shit sorted out.
Perfect. All right, next tip. Identify your priorities for every week and then look at them every single day. So when you do your planning and you go, right, this week my priorities are to complete these things or do this thing or talk to this person, whatever those priorities are, and then put them in your calendar, but then look at those priorities every single day in a list to make sure that you're on track. At the end of the day, are you on track? At the start of the day, are you on track? Have you actually allocated time to those activities? Because if you don't, you'll get to the end of the week and they'll just drift off, and you may not actually get to where you want to be. Next one, control your micro distractions. All of the little things that distract you from staying on task. The alerts on your phone, the emails that you keep opening, the delving back into social media, the person that comes over and monopolizes the conversation that spends more time than they needed to. These things will happen, but you can often control those and put measures in place to make sure that the micro distractions don't throw you off, because by the time you're thrown off task, it often takes you 10 to 15 minutes to get back into that thought process of where you were before.
And this is a choice. This is just a choice to say, I will not, I will, yes please, no thank you. Recognize it, change it. Can you tell I'm talking to myself?
Another one, remove the clutter from your workspace. Make sure your workspace is clear, because this is also controlling those micro interruptions from what you're concentrating on. So I'm looking at my computer, but I'm also distracted by the fact that I've got 3 pairs of glasses, this weird little toggle thing that's on my desk, a couple of notebooks that are open, my 3 screens are on. All of that visual clutter is not helping you stay on task. So the more simplified your workspace, the more likely you are to be productive with the time that you're applying in your workspace.
And if you work from home, then get yourself different zones for different activities. So this is the place that I do all my phone calls. Get going. Good. Chunk them up. Great. This is the place where I do my reflective work. Good. This is where I read and think. And this place over here, this is where I just smash out stuff. Bang, 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 bang. All those kind of things can cue you into being really productive.
Love it. All right, next one in our rapid fire supercharged productivities. Identify your triggers. So one of the triggers for me is when my phone is on the desk, I have a tendency to be working in my email or doing something, and then I'm picking up my phone and next minute I'm doing the same task, but I'm just doing it on a smaller screen. So one of the ways that I've learned to control this, and we're going to talk about a technical tactic later on, but a physical tactic now, is just put your phone outside the door, because you can still hear it ring. You can still hear the text message come through, so you're not removed from that. But you physically have to get up and go get your phone, and that is a much more cognitive way to notice the distraction than if you just pick it up and then you've drifted, and then 10 minutes went by and you went, oh, I'm not supposed to be looking at my phone right now.
And this is also why you shouldn't ever hold the bag of popcorn on your lap. You should put the bag of popcorn on the table and then go and get a handful. And then when you want another handful, you have to get up off the couch to go for another handful.
Yeah.
And you're choosing between 2 pains, the pains of not having popcorn or from leaving the couch. And this is good.
It is
I've
good.
been told. Same idea, right?
Yeah, same idea. It's funny, my daughter's just started working at Les Mills Takapuna, and she's on the early shifts. And because she has to get up at 4 a.m.
Nepo.
I know.
Les Mills is just Nepo babies.
I know, it's so good, so good. So, but she said, oh man, how do you get up so early? And I said, tip number 1 is put your alarm clock on the other side of the room, and as soon as it goes off, you get out of bed. And she said to me the other day, she went, it's been a game changer. Because it's that whole up, move. I had to get up, no point in lying there. Yeah, so those little things that make it physically a big decision to do it are great. So we're going to hit on your point before about the 3 things that you can control, which is your sleep, your nutrition, and movement. What you need to do is take a break and move at least once an hour. So if you've been sitting down, even if you feel like you're in the zone, just get up, bit of a shake out, maybe drink a big glass of water, physically walk around and then get back into it. Because what will happen is if you get to that 45-minute mark, you will naturally start to drain. And so suddenly what happens is your energy and your ability to focus does drift off, even though you feel like you're in the zone. But that little micro pause, and not a dopamine hit of flipping through your phone, like a micro pause to move, breathe, drink some water, and then sit back down, will keep you more on track for longer.
I love the research about, does it matter whether you do, for example, 100 crunches all in one go, or if you just did 10 crunches 10 times a day, would it have a lasting effect? And I can't even remember what the result of the research was. But I went through a phase where when I was giving myself those little breaks in the 1 hour periods, I was trying to get stronger doing press ups. My idea was that you should be able to do as many press ups as you are old. And the way age works, that means you have to get stronger each year, which is counterintuitive against the kind of physical decline. And I realized when I was trying to smash out 50 press-ups that there was a gap between my age and my ability. So rather than go once a day, can I do X number of press-ups, I was experimenting with this idea of, in those little pauses, could I just get down, bang a few out, and would I get stronger? And I'll let you know if I can, but I like the idea of doing something that actually kind of gets the blood pumping a little faster. It's not like a full cardio workout. I can be fully dressed in my regular work clothes and still push out a few press-ups. So
that's right.
Stand by.
All right. Another one, plan fun and your time off into your calendars as well as your meetings and your activities. It is really easy, especially if you work in corporate and you live and die by your calendar a lot of the time, for your calendar to get eaten up and monopolized with everybody else's emergencies and time requests. But if you've actually planned in those date nights, those times you're going to go to the movies, those little wee moments where you're going to do some exercise or spend time with a friend or make a phone call that you want to make instead of one you have to make, put that into your calendar. So as your week goes on, you are including those activities that are recharging you as well as draining you, rather than just looking at your calendar and go, holy crap, that's a lot of stuff I've got to get done. It also makes you harder to book because suddenly your time is actually being controlled by you.
Yeah, and I love doing that in the year ahead for not necessarily travel. I mean, that's a blessing of my life right now that I'm traveling for work a little bit, but also just looking at where the holiday periods are going to be. Because, my approach is I've got 2 speeds on and off. So I can go on for about 90 days and then I have to have some off time. And I actually find it harder to work hard if the off time is uncertain and unspecified. I find it much easier to go, here I go sprinting now because in March I've got X coming up. And it doesn't have to be a fantastic trip away. It can just be a mini break, a pause, something that refreshes you. It might be a show. I'm going to Tim Minchin, whatever it is that you're looking forward to, and you build that as a reward.
All right, limit your meetings to 20 minutes if it's a half-hour meeting and 40 minutes if it's an hour meeting. So start to just compress the time. You will get just as much done in 20 minutes as you can in half an hour, but you'll start to win some time back, and it forces everybody to just get on with it. If it's an hour meeting, if you cram it into the 40 minutes, suddenly you've got 20 minutes back as well. So those little spaces that just allow you to clear your head, clear your thoughts. And it is a discipline, but it is a really good one. And if someone actually comes at you with an hour request, and you know it is probably going to be a longer meeting, just push back and say, hey, can we make this 40 minutes? And it's good little tactic.
Can we make it 2 40-minute meetings? If there's actually enough, let's do one topic today and one topic tomorrow, or one topic later, rather than what tends to happen is we take too long on one topic and then we just rush the second one.
Good tactics. Use the focus function on your phone. So in your cell phone is the ability to set up different levels of focus. So I have one that is a do not disturb function. I'll bring it up. Where's my little wee function focus? So it's a do not disturb. That is, everyone is not able to contact me. So all people are blocked.
Dead to you.
Dead to me.
Everybody's dead, gone.
All apps are not allowed and all notifications are off. So the only thing that will work with that one is my alarm clock to wake me up. So that's the night one, obviously. But I also have a leave me alone focus that I've set up. And leave me alone means that only certain people can contact me. You've actually made the cut there, Sash. Look at that.
Ah, blessings to you. Go, Sash.
It's got my family, it's got Sash, and it's got Brett, my boss, in there on that one. Because I do like
other
Brett.
boss.
My other boss. But all the apps are not allowed, and also notifications are off. So what it's saying is I can receive text messages from these people, I can receive phone calls from these people, but that's all I can do. Now, you can set up as many of those as you like. So you could have a work one, you could have I'm spending time with friends one, you could have a number of different focuses. So rather than having to say, well, you have to turn all the app notifications off on your phone, you may not be that type of person. I am. I only have text basically as my only notification and then just alarm settings, but no apps can notify me. But I know a lot of people just live in the world where they just want to be notified all the time. My daughter's being one of them. Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. But by having the focuses, you can go social media off focus, work focus, social time focus, and you are in control of what can get in touch with you.
I have a similar thing. It's the do not disturb function, but I mainly just only ever use it accidentally. And sometimes I'll go for like 3 or 4 hours and I'll go, is anybody at work today? Because nobody has rung, nobody's emailing, and the nature of my role is I occasionally have to be responsive to things in the moment to make a decision, and I think this is really weird. And I look down at my phone and I've accidentally put on the do not disturb. And as soon as I turn the do not disturb off, there's a flurry of things that come in. Sash, really need a decision on this. And I'll be like, oh, sorry guys, I've my fat fingers accidentally turned on my do not disturb. But I think it's great. I love the idea that you can control things getting through it. And it helps manage emergency situations where you go, I do want my kids to be able to contact me in the night, actually. I'm happy to take a call from, Pushy who's 18 or, Tiger who's in the States or my mum or my dad or whatever. But I don't want everybody to be able to call me at 2 a.m. And certainly not that Ishmael fellow.
That's if I do my do not disturb, obviously Joe is home and beside me and taking all calls while I've got my do not disturb me at all function
exactly.
on.
Well, this reminds me a bit of research that I saw today, and I'm sure that it might, perhaps it's outdated, perhaps it's not true, but it sounded plausible, that there are 2 types of people or groups, categories of people that have the self-report the highest levels of happiness. And the first is single women. So single women report as being really happy. And then the other group that reports as being really happy is married men. And I get it, because married men have somebody to do all their jobs at their house.
Those
and single women can just do their own jobs and not have to do other people's jobs. And I know not every marriage is like that, but I think what you've just explained about who takes the calls from the children and what I've just explained about who takes the calls from the children really says it all.
I'd like to apologise on behalf of all my kind. All right, let's move on quickly. Okay, the next one is, and I know that in the notes, Sasha, that I send backwards and forwards when we're prepping for the show, that's why we prep, we send notes backwards and forwards. I've put plain one learning activity every day, but of course I mean plan one learning activity every day. Doesn't have to be on the plane.
I also like this productivity hack, even though this is not what you're talking about, Ish, is that we have internal and external rules around our grammar. So internally, if you're just smashing messages out to people and it's understandable what you're saying, there's a whole school of thought that says don't bother going back to correct it, because I knew straight away that it said plain but you meant plan. So the 10 seconds it might have taken you to correct that doesn't add anything to anybody. So I am a big English standards and use the right words type person, but internally I'm like, just smash it out and go. And that's a little tip. But your tip was actually around planning one learning activity every day. I think day is a lot. I think maybe a week. But tell me about your day theory.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-minute presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-minute presenter program. Yeah, so I honestly feel that the more learning activities you can plan into your day, the better you will become at everything. So yes, you should do maybe one bigger one every week where you dedicate a good amount of time. But let's look at all the moments that we have and all the ways that we can just read something, have a quote that is motivational, listen to a podcast. If you've kind of got those little micro sessions where it might just be, I'm spending some time at the moment investigating this topic, and you spend some time learning that, and it's a little 10-minute block. Those all add up. And it's funny how you'll just be listening to something, and then all of a sudden something will come out of that and you'll go, that's really useful for this next thing. I was going into a meeting and actually that's a really good frame for me to go into. So sometimes even just having those on tap and being able to share those little motivational quote with someone, share the podcast that was really good with a few other people. The more you plan it, the more you do it, the more you benefit from it. Yeah,
true. And I did read something the other day about if you just spent 10 minutes deliberately learning something every day over the course of a year, what does that give you in terms of time? And it's an impressive number where you go, yes, I sign up for that. Yes, I want to do that. Good.
Yeah. All right, next one. Use technology to track where you are spending your time. Now, your phone will tell you where you're spending a lot of your time, and this is just an awareness thing because it is sometimes a bit of an eye-opener when you go, holy shit, I just spent 3 hours on TikTok. To know where your time is going. But there is, there's plenty of them out there, but one I've seen recently is Toggl, Toggl, and it's basically your calendar, and then you use that as your calendar and you put it in. But what it does is it then kind of segments up into a pie chart so you can see how much time you spent in meetings, how much time was on phone calls, how much time you spent on your phone, how much time was in discussion. So it's just an interesting way to just map stuff. It's not necessarily that you need to do the activity ongoing, although that might be the way that you do your time management and productivity tracking. But it is a really interesting activity to do for a period of time, like a week, to suddenly go, in my week, actually, I spent this many hours on these activities and they did nothing to move me forward.
Yeah, I used to do it on my phone, and I just ended up thinking that she was a little bit of a naggy, whiny bitch, and because it turns out I was spending an inordinate amount of time on things exactly what you say. They were interesting, I was fascinated, I was engaged with them, and yet they weren't issues that I had any ability to move the needle on. They weren't relevant to my priorities in my life. They didn't give me deeper relationships with people I care most deeply about. But it did mean that I was well informed about something that was happening a long way away. And I mean, American politics is a really good example of that. There's been periods in my life where I've been so engaged in American politics. And why? Why, God, why? And so I do think it's a really useful thing to do. And not to beat yourself up about it, but just to recognize, okay, I can take some action to not get sucked into this vortex.
Another little hack is build some music playlists that can jack you up or calm you down. You know, sometimes you just need to get into the zone and, you know, because you've got to do some work. And I'm very much of a just start and the momentum will come. So if, you know, just got a blank page, start writing, all that kind of stuff, or use Chat GPT to get you going. But sometimes you can get into the zone much quicker if you just got a bit of a playlist. I know as speakers, we'll sometimes have some music going before we get on stage, or we might have listened to something just to get us to a certain point before we have to turn up to the event and say hi to people and then get up on stage. So use the power of music and what it does for you. It's a really good way to, it's like a fast accelerator.
I found this particularly useful when I was training for that 11K walk run that I did. Music made a huge difference, and that really caused me to reflect on the power of music. I think my family is very regretful about that, because now I walk around the house all of the time with my headphones on, because I could either like have my headphones off, and that means I'm listening to the golf or the rugby that's on the television, or I can have my headphones on and be listening to all my cool music, and when they ask me for things and where their socks are, I just shrug and say, yeah, I can't hear you, sorry about that. So, I mean, I probably need to establish some better habits around it, but I've really noticed how powerful those different playlists are to help me to access feelings of joy and energy and motivation, and very, very powerful and useful. And perversely, conversely, ironically, I'm also really okay about having a sad sack playlist, because there's times in my life where I feel sad and I feel like it's inefficient to wait for the sadness to pass. I think this might be unhelpful and I might need therapy around it. But if I just put on my sad song playlist, then out come the tears, woo, and then I feel good again. It's like I accelerate the emptying out of the sorrow. If I wait for it to naturally pass, that might take hours. Who's got hours to spend wallowing about some unknown and unestablished source of misery, and it's probably just menopause? So I have my sad sack cry-thon and then go, oh, good, Sasha's back. Excellent.
I love it. Okay. All right. Next one is reward yourself when you hit target.
Oh, I love this.
So have a little wee sweetener, something that is there that you are looking forward to, that you can do when you get the thing done that you know you needed to do. So if you've set your priorities for the week and you've been on track, come on, celebrate that. And even if you get close to it, celebrate that.
And if you've got a big task that you need to break up into smaller chunks, give yourself mini rewards along the way. So at the moment, we're moving back into our house. We've just done a reno at home, and our garage is full of all of our stuff. And if I just say, well, you have to unpack the whole house, it's impossible to do that all in one go. So what I've been saying to myself is do 2 boxes. And then you can have like a 10-minute treat where you watch some reels, or you go on TikTok for 10 minutes and you have a cold glass of water at the same time. And then you're going to go back and do 2 more boxes. And then you have a little reward and 2 more boxes. So what is the treat that you deserve?
Okay. And last one, which is a bonus one that I didn't actually get to send through to you. Okay. It just kind of came to me.
This is unapproved, guys. This has not been through the filter. Here we go.
Unapproved content, not vetted by the team, is just get it out of your head.
Oh, yes.
If you have got any way that you can get it out of your head onto a page, into a journal, into a calendar, onto a list, is a useful activity, and it is a good use of your time, because otherwise what you're doing is you're starting to collect a whole lot of things you have to do, remember, stay on top of. And it's almost like that game. I went to the shops one day and I brought a banana, and then the next person goes, I brought a banana and a puppy, and then it just keeps going down the list, and then suddenly you're going, okay, so now we're buying a handbag. Now what was the other things again? And that
banana and puppy.
banana puppy, heroin, all of that stuff that is going on in our brain that we're trying to remember is draining us, making us tired, even though we may not be thinking about it. Subconsciously, you're trying to remember. So get it out of your head.
I've had exactly that today, Ish. I met someone at lunchtime and I've agreed that I'm going to meet them tomorrow at 1:30. But since then, I haven't really been near my phone. I haven't been near a bit of paper. And I reckon about every 15 minutes, I have this little thought that goes, don't forget that your meeting's got tomorrow at 1:30. 1:30 tomorrow. What a waste of mental energy that's going on in the background in my brain. That subconscious could be actually working away at other challenges that I've given it to think about over the last few months, but instead it's using a whole lot of its processing memory to make sure I turn up at 1:30 tomorrow, when all I need to do is pick up my phone, bang that appointment in, and then that frees up all that subconscious.
Nice. All right, there is 14 plus a bonus one, supercharging productivity tips to set you up going into Christmas, out into the new year, and yeah, man. Go get it.
Go get it. The idea is if you can get more stuff done in less time, you can pursue the things that are most meaningful for you. Check in that you're doing the important things first. Get the good stuff done. If you get to the end of the year and you go, I've done so much this year, but I have nothing to show for it, then set up for next year in different ways. That's the goal, right?
That's the goal.